Hello and welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast on this very special bonus episode that we have going on here for Francis Ford Coppola month. I am one of your hosts. I'm Casey Kelton, and joined with me, as always, is my co-host, Brian Mensing.
We need to have some sort of fancy name since we're talking about what we're talking about. I don't know what those names should be, but, you know.
I don't know what those would be. I thought of maybe using a name from the movie. I like to know the name Joey Zazza just because it sounds really cool.
Joey Zazza.
It just sounds like an Italian name. I think it's very cool. But the coolest name on the podcast is not mine. It's not Brian's.
Nope.
It's Mr. Tony Tubes, who's back finishing the trilogy, much like Coppola thought he would with this movie here. Tony, welcome back, sir.
Well, it's nice to be back, but I don't know if I have the coolest name. You know.
You got the coolest name in the group. You got Tubes. I can relate that to movies in a way. You watch movies on the tube. Makes sense.
Tony's the most Italian name in the group.
It actually came from lip gloss, is what Tubes came from. That's a long story though.
But you at least have like a mobster name then in the like Tony Tubes. Like you got to watch out for Tony Tubes. He'll get you with his Tommy gun down the road.
You got to put a "the" in there. Tony the Tubes.
Tony the Tubes. I like it.
Yeah.
What I should have started this podcast is the best line of this movie. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Because God, I thought I was out of the Godfather series, and you know what? We pulled ourselves right back into this, and we're talking Godfather 3. Let's just jump right into this movie. Brian, you watched the new cut.
Hold on a second. So did you guys watch 2 and 3 then?
Yes, we've watched the full trilogy.
Well, we talked about 1. So I mean, briefly, what did you guys think of 2?
Go check. No, a shameless plug for the podcast, but I really liked it. I don't think I think I like the first Godfather more, but. That being said, The Godfather 2 is a perfect sequel to that said movie, and a perfect, like, if you're going to end the series, like, why not end it that way? Because 1 and 2 both have great endings. Like, you could have just ended the story either way. Unfortunately, when we do get an ending here, it's like, I didn't need this ending. I wanted those endings.
I'm just going to put it out there that Godfather 2, like, top 5, like, acting performances of all time, when Michael and Kay are sitting there talking, and he's calm and he's cool and he's collected, and then she tells him that she had an abortion. Like, him going from like 0 to like a 70 in about like a span of about 20 seconds, man. Like, that was probably some of the best acting I've ever seen Pacino do was in that scene. So
yeah. I definitely think that there's many things that make The Godfather Part 2 an absolutely exceptional film. I do side with Casey in regards to kind of enjoying the first one, maybe just a little bit more. And that's partially because of being this is the first time I'd only seen Part 2, trying to keep up with basically the 2 timelines going back and forth between Michael and Vito. So, for me, being that the first one is just a very fluid timepiece for Vito and everything, for me, that's why I at least at this point right now enjoy the first one.
Yeah,
I think Pacino and De Niro are fantastic.
When I eventually revisit this series, a year or 2 or 3 down the road, Godfather Part 3 is not the one I will rewatch, and maybe we'll just.
I think you should. Like, I honestly think that because I agree with you guys about 20 years ago. I would agree with you guys that 2 is not as good as 1, and then 3 was not as good as either of them. But they're kind of like Idiocracy. You have to watch them a few times to really get in, to really kind of get all the nuances about it and everything. Because I hated Idiocracy the first time I saw it. Thought it was a terrible movie. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? But then you watch it again, and it's brilliant. Not
you finally drank the Gatorade from Idiocracy, and it made sense to you.
Brondo, the thirst mutilator. But anyways, sorry. Go ahead. Godfather 3.
Godfather 3. Idiocracy is a better movie than Godfather 3.
Well, and I'll even throw this here just for the sake of the part that will be entertaining to try to discern all this here is you watched the theatrical version, Casey, correct?
Yes.
I watched the Coda cut.
Oh, wow. So okay.
That's what I'm curious what the difference is, because in terms of runtime, it's a 4-minute difference. The Coda cut to the theatrical. Not sure what he changes, what he takes out, what he puts in to get that runtime, but I'm assuming the story is not much different, and especially the ending, which is like the Seinfeld finale of endings of, oh, this is how we're ending it. Huh. Okay.
Well, when he keels over in the chair and shit?
He just peels over in a chair. It's like, all right, that's it for Mikey. He's done.
But he's out in his garden. It's just like Vito went. It's the exact same, it's I don't know. I actually kind of like the death of Michael Corleone.
Should we start there and work our way backwards? That works for me. I didn't care for it, but I'm really interested why you care for it as more of a Godfather fan, Tony. Why does that work for you?
See, I think I care about these characters more than you guys do. I'm more invested in these characters than you guys are. And I've watched these movies and I've studied them. I took a film class in college where I actually had to study them and everything. And so it was like, I don't know. Like, I think that The Godfather 3 never really turned me off. Like, it's definitely the weaker of the three, but, and one of the things that I noticed between the Coda version and the theatrical version was I think that Coppola kind of tamed down the incestuous relationship between Andy Garcia's character and Sofia Coppola's terrible fucking acting. But so, yeah, like I didn't get so creeped out by them when I watched the Coda one. So maybe he might have clipped a little bit of that out or something, made it a little bit more reasonable, I guess.
Palatable.
Yeah.
Made it more of a familial love than we're cousins and we're banging in our restaurant.
Totally banged it out the Coda version.
Oh, so it's just as creepy. Okay.
It is, but there's not all that build up to it where you're just kind of like uncomfortable because she keeps fucking hitting on him, like just keeps coming after him and stuff like that. So yeah. Sofia Coppola was terrible in that movie.
That's where it's I when watching it, and once I immediately put my the click that I'm like, okay, that's Sophia. I was like, there's a reason why I prefer her talents behind the camera and not in front of them, because she is absolutely a talented individual. Being in front of the camera is not one of those things. At least not at this time when she's so young in her career.
Yep.
I don't think she's that bad. She's not good. She's definitely not good in these movies. She's a standout in the wrong way in a series of great performances through all three movies. But I think I chalk that up a lot to the writing. I don't think she's a very well written character. I don't think she's put in a very compelling storyline with what she's supposed to do. She's kind of pushed to the wayside very fast as we're focusing on Andy Garcia's character who plays Sonny's son. What's his name in this?
Vincent.
Vinny Corleone. And I just think thrown into that type of storyline is not great for one of her first on-screen appearances with lines. She's in all the Godfather movies, but she's not given any lines to do. She's not an actual character within it. Whereas here she's, third, fourth most important character of this story. I don't think giving an incestuous...
Sofia Coppola. We're talking about Sofia Coppola, the daughter?
Yes, the daughter.
Yeah. Well, she was a baby in the first one, man.
Yeah, but she's in the movie. It's an acting credit.
So what you're saying...
But I'm saying in terms of, she's in the first movie, she's in the second movie, given 0 lines between either.
She's a child.
She's just a kid, which is fine.
In the first one,
which is fine.
She's literally getting baptized in the first one.
You could have said goo goo gaga, and that could have been her line.
Like, oh, she didn't have any good lines in the first. What'd you want her to fucking do? A 25th hour monologue?
Hey, her acting chops could have turned up a notch if she had some speaking lines in the first two movies. And,
yeah, in the second one, she could have come around the corner and been like, "Daddy, I gotta go potty." You know,
yeah.
she was like 4.
But in terms of this one, this is where she finally gets to shine in the series, and I don't think that's very fair of her daddy throwing her into this type of storyline as her first time really into this character as an actor, not just, hey, I'm in my dad's movie. Feels
I'm in my dad's movie, and I'm playing a very incestual.
Yeah, it's a very weird storyline to throw your daughter in. It's a weird thing, Francis. Why'd you do that? That's kind of weird. I don't know why you would throw your daughter in this type of storyline. But I don't think she's terrible in it. I think her character is terrible, though.
Well, and the fact they had to redub all of her lines, like everything that she spoke, they had to redub it because she had such a terrible Valley Girl accent, and she couldn't like pronounce the word Corleone. And so yeah, like
she literally grows up with the Corleone family and can't pronounce it.
Right. Right. Like that's where your money's coming from. Like that's where your fucking Barbie dream car came from, Sophia. So,
well, or the fact that she's basically lived in this world of the like New York mafia kind of thing, but to live in that world, but to basically grow up in the world, the real world of California, I could see as being a little bit of a challenge for her to try to dump the California to try to make yourself look like a New Yorker.
Mm-hmm.
They should have just hired a different actress that didn't have to dump anything.
Agree.
I understand why he did it, though. He feel this is a very personal story for Coppola, and very much like, all right, this is sort of a passing of the torch, except the person you pass the torch to gets shot down by the end of the movie. I don't know what the metaphor Coppola is going for. I don't really know if he is, and in terms of his own life, I don't know if there's actually one there that he was going for, but it would have been more interesting now looking at it if it was a full passing of the torch and Sofia Coppola's character kind of took over the family. That could have been a full passing of the torch from Francis Ford Coppola to Sofia Coppola as a director, because like we have said, she's a much better director than she is an actor. Could have been a nice passing of the torch, but that's not the story that's told. This is the story of the death of Michael Corleone. Yeah, I don't love the death of him, how he dies, because I feel it's very much like a tacked on scene by the end of this movie. The movie could have ended on the staircase with Sofia Coppola's character dying at the steps at the opera house. And that's pretty much where like this could have ended, because then Michael has nothing left. Truly has nothing left. His wife is gone. His son has disowned him, doesn't want really anything to do with him. His daughter is now dead, the only one that still loved him. Now he's left with nothing. And instead it like jumps forward 20 years and he's just an old man sitting in a garden with some dogs and croaks over and dies. I feel like I needed one more scene in there in between.
Yeah, there definitely could have been something in between there. Yeah,
one more scene. That's all I needed, and it might have worked. But for me, just jumping from that to like, all right, Coppola's like, all right, we need an ending. Michael just dies. He's in a garden and dies. Hurry up, wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I hear you, but I still have a little bit of a love for the Godfather 3. I don't know,
I don't hate this movie, by the way. I think it's if I were to give this a star rating, it's a 3 out of 5 for me. It's still a positive rating compared to most other movies. But if you have to compare it to the other Godfathers, it doesn't hold a candle to it, unfortunately.
It could have gone a couple different ways. It could have, because I honestly always thought that like Bridget Fonda and Sofia Coppola should have swapped roles. Sofia Coppola should have had that little cameo as the reporter chick that ends up banging Vincent out and stuff like that, and then he offs the other mafia dudes in the house and shit. And then Bridget Fonda could have played what the hell's his daughter's name? Oh my god. No.
What is his daughter's name?
Mary. Will somebody hail Mary? Yeah, Bridget Fonda, because Bridget Fonda kind of looks like Diane Keaton a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, she totally could have pulled off being the daughter of Al Pacino and Diane Keaton, and she's a much better fucking actress. But no, I thought that
I don't know if I could picture Bridget Fonda with the dark brown hair, because I'm always
she wouldn't need the dark brown hair. She would
her
have
mom's
got
hair.
Yeah, she would have got Diane Keaton. But no, I thought that like the assassination, you know, in the big boardroom where they're, you know, all the dons are meeting and stuff like that. I thought that was awesome. I thought the assassination of Joey Zazza was awesome. Hey Joey, up your ass. It was I don't know, man. It had a lot of redeeming qualities to me, and just Michael's character too, because you really tell he's trying to be more like he used to be, and more like his dad, you know, and not so ruthless anymore.
Right.
And it just makes him even cooler and kind of darker in my eyes. So,
well, I get a kick out of and I only think about this because I was looking at my background here, is the fact that, like you said, he's trying to, you know, go on the straight and narrow. He's trying to be, like you said, less ruthless, more like his father and whatnot. And then it's his sister Connie that is the one that's, you know, wanting to basically keep in the dark and the dirty, and, you know, be the ruthless one that he was of the second. Like, she's the one that is kind of orchestrating some of the stuff in the background when he's trying to do, you know, trying to correct the ship.
Yeah, that's why I told you guys, just wait. Connie takes a little bit different turn.
Yeah, I think I love the character progression of Connie, because like she is throughout this entire series. I mean, we started her wedding at the beginning of the first movie, and we go all the way through this, and now she feels like this evil puppet master in a way to the whole family, trying to do the best for the family, but taking all the most drastic turns to get there. And, you know, she really feels like the one that's manipulating Sonny's son Vincent, and definitely wants him back in the family, because she knows Michael can't do some of the stuff he will do. Yep. And it always feels like that balance of that was something that was missing in the family too, is maybe Michael going more towards his father, and Vincent going more towards the way of Sonny, and having the hot head, the one that will do the things that the other members of the family will not do. Where was Sonny's kid this whole time?
Well, Sonny was dead, so yeah. he was just being raised by his mom.
That threw me off watching it this time. It's like, where was he? Why wasn't he? Where's his mom? Why weren't they involved with the family? It seems like a very much a family affair that you'd keep them within the family.
Yeah, but I can see it going more along the lines of Michael probably set her up in a house somewhere and just paid her bills.
Yeah.
You know, like she's not a legitimate part of the family because Sonny's gone. She's now, you know, so yeah. I can see that just being somebody who they just set him up. But going back to Connie, I just thought it was kind of like you were talking, Brian, the progression of her and everything, and it's kind of sad. You know, she kind of turns into like a gold digging whore, by the third one, and, you know, just with random dudes all the time, and, you know, brings them to Michael and is like, you know, I need money and all this shit. And it's just, yeah, man, it was just because she was such a sweet little girl, such a sweet little innocent girl in the first one, you know, and same with Al Pacino. And then, yeah, by the time the whole family just gets it right in the ass, man. Well, that brought the room down. Holy shit.
Casey's like, how do I follow that?
No, I do think it is a very interesting thing to look at is Michael and Connie, how like Tony said, from the first movie that we watched and talked about to now, is how different their characters are between the two, and how much has gone on through both of their lives and has led them to this situation here that they're in by the end of this movie. Is it feels like most, like a lot of movies, especially in series, don't do this, is that each movie there's progression of the character or degression of the character, you know, depending on how you look at it, with, you know, how they progress, whether good or bad. There's always progression. Like, they feel like real human beings. Like, that's one thing I'll give Coppola through all three of these movies is every person feels like a real human being, has gone through real life struggles throughout all these. And that's I think the true linchpin of this entire series is everybody feels like real people. It feels like a real family. Again, something everybody can relate to. We all have a family. It's something everybody relates to, is the family dynamic, the drama, the loss of a parent, the raising of children, the sibling rivalries. Everybody kind of has that, in some way, shape, or form. So I think that's definitely the strongest point of this entire trilogy is the familial aspect of it. But speaking of some of the other family members, I think one person that's really missing in this movie, and I think would have helped tie the whole trilogy a little bit together a little tighter, is Tom Hagen, Robert Duvall. I really feel like he is definitely missing in this movie, and I don't know the behind the scenes of why he's not in this story.
Money.
He wanted a lot of money.
Yeah, I looked it up. Basically, he's
Pacino's getting paid a shitload of money.
And Duvall's like, I understand that obviously he's going to make more money than I am, but it was literally like a 4-to-1 or something like that. And yeah, that's why it was all about the dollars.
There's a very interesting interview. You got De Niro, Pacino, James Caan, and
Duvall.
Yeah, and Duvall. And every once in a while they'll skirt into Godfather 3, and Duvall will just be dismissive, like, yeah, that was the shitty one though, anyway. Yeah, Robert Duvall. It was cool that they had Tom Hagen's kid in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he makes a little cameo, and hey, there's Tom Hagen's kid and everything. But yeah, it always sucks when it's the money,
Yeah. Because I legit started going and looking once you realize that, hey, there's a different lawyer, kind of thing, and I'm like, okay,
and it's George fucking Hamilton, the Zorro the Gay Blade. Like, come on, dude, that was like the funniest, weirdest, like, casting of his consigliere / lawyer was George Hamilton. Like, right. I don't know, man. I don't know if I could dig on that. Go ahead.
As far as like the money goes, no offense, Robert Duvall, no one's going to go see The Godfather Part 3 because of your face on the poster. It's Pacino's face on the poster that's going to get you in. So I get it. If you're in probably the second or third most important character in the series by the time the third part comes out, I understand why you want more money. But again, it's still artist versus making money off a movie, and there is a balance that I don't know if it was that far off that he couldn't find the balance of artistic integrity of finishing this character off, or I need a bigger payday.
Yeah, man. I mean, you have to look at the art. You have to look at the some, especially if you're in Godfather 1 and 2, you're not hurting for money, and you have to think to yourself, this is pretty much. I'm pretty sure Godfather was like his breakout role as something other than a Western actor and shit like that. And so it's like, hey, man, what's going on? What is that?
I don't know. Well, aliens are trying to take one of us away. I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
What did you hear?
It sounded like a truck running by.
Or a fucking UFO.
That might have been a motorcycle outside my window.
Oh, okay.
So I need to look at the box office here for this.
Well, while you do that, I was going to say this. You guys were talking about just character development and stuff, and one of the things that never sat right with me about 3 was how Vincent goes from hothead to all of a sudden he is just like he is exactly the way that Pacino needs him to be. He's quiet, and all of a sudden he's good enough to be the Godfather. And I just think that there should have been a little bit more of like a teaching him more lessons and stuff. Michael will pull him in every once in a while and say, don't ever let anybody know what you're thinking and stuff. But I honestly think there should have been like a scene where Joey Zazza's goons come after him, and beat him within an inch of his life, or something to kind of bring him back down to earth, and not there needed to have been something like that. There needed to have been like like an 80s training montage, or something like that to where okay, he is now ready to be the Godfather, because it just kind of goes from hothead Italian Guido dude that could be on the Jersey Shore to the Godfather, and it's like only about 3 sentences between him and Pacino, between it, and it's just that always kind of bugged me.
That's where I feel like combining his character with Mary Corleone would have been better. Just combining the two into one character, whether it be Michael's son or daughter, either one. I don't know if we needed the introduction of Sonny's son. I think it would have been a tighter story if we would have had put in maybe some of the hothead nature of the Corleone family is in, either Michael's son or daughter, either one. And then Michael's kind of grooming them to legitimize the business that he can't. And maybe that's where we get a new Godfather, is that with one of those two characters combining them. That removes the incest story completely. Thank God.
And she could have been even like, a little bit of a black sheep of the family. And all of a sudden, it's dad's, something or another, and she shows up, and then all of a sudden, God, man, I think we just wrote a better fucking Godfather 3 right there. I would watch that movie.
This is the Backlot 605 cut of Godfather 3. I looked up the box office here. Total gross of worldwide $136 million. So not too bad. $54 million budget here. So again, Duvall, you would have made some money doing this movie.
You made a couple bucks.
Yeah. What I find really interesting is how many Academy Awards this was nominated for, while people also hated this movie when it came out and subsequent years.
Well, it looked beautiful. It sounded beautiful. Pacino did. I mean, regardless of the rest of the story, I mean, he did a hell of a job. I mean, just there's a scene when he's watching, I think it's Anthony, his son, when all the assassinations are happening at the end, when he's at the opera, and he's just sitting there, and you just see him kind of lean back watching his son. And I always get goosebumps when I see that, because he's just like, it's the fucking Godfather, man. Like, he looks like the Godfather, and he just.
Brian, you made a joke about Pacino's hair. I'll continue on the Pacino's hair. That throws me off quite a bit. It looks like he has frosted tips, which is a total 90s thing to have. Should have just shaved Pacino bald. I think that would have made it not thrown me off so much. His hair is weird, right?
His hair is a little weird.
Yeah,
he's got the Commander Riker going on, man. It's okay. It's back, but it's not like greased, back. It's kind of up. I don't know. I kind of liked his hair.
It's a style statement. It's a statement.
This is my guilty pleasure movie, boys. Okay, okay, this is one of those guilty pleasure movies where it's like, it's so bad it's good, and I don't know.
I totally get it. But so as far as like acting goes, Andy Garcia is the only one to get an acting nomination from this year for this movie, which is, I think he's really good in this movie. Andy Garcia is.
I think he's nomination good though. Like,
here's my question: is that okay? So if this year that this came out here, then if Pacino doesn't get a nomination, who's up for like best actor that year?
Well, Pacino does get a nomination, not for this movie. He gets it for let's see, Dick Tracy. He gets nominated for.
He got nominated for Dick Tracy, but not Godfather 3.
Not Godfather 3.
He's amazing in Dick Tracy.
Well, but he's playing a cartoon character.
This is the
exceptionally well.
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on, dude.
This is the year that Pesci won for Goodfellas. So,
oh well, yeah,
not much competition. For that one. I'll try to pull up what the heck is going on here with these nominations? I'll try to pull them up here in a second. For Best Actor this year, Best Picture was Dances with Wolves. You know, the only movie South Dakota has ever made, and is our most important movie ever. Yeah. Jeremy Irons won that year Best Actor, Reversal of Fortune.
I've never even heard of that movie.
Yeah. I never heard of it, never watched it.
Yeah. So that's who won for this year.
Won an Academy Award, huh?
He did win. So do you guys have any final thoughts you want to throw out there? Any scenes that really like stuck out to you? Maybe favorite scene of this movie?
Gosh, that's a tough one, man. I remember watching. Oh, go ahead.
I think my favorite scene is one you brought up, Tony, is the assassination of Joey Zazza. Like that feels like like the flashback scenes in Godfather Part II.
Yep.
Where Vito Corleone is doing his thing in New York and goes out after who's the guy in the white hat? I can't remember his name. Whoever. Yeah,
whatever his name was.
Yeah, the guy in the white hat. That's his name. When he's going after him, that's what that felt like in a way to me.
It was in the same block too.
Yeah,
it was like the same. It was like the same neighborhood, the Genco olive oil neighborhood and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God!
I'll look it up here. What are you guys' favorite scenes?
You know, I was just gonna say because they say in the coda. We have a different opening and a different ending. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the opening and I was like, why did you do it like that? Because they open it up on the church and then it's just immediately that greasy little church crap head that's in the, like the archdiocese or whatever, that's just got his hands all sorts of greasy through the whole movie. Opens up on him talking. And I'm like, why would you choose to open it up like this? But then I noticed that the camera was pulling back, and then it comes right over Pacino's shoulder, just like Godfather 1, the very beginning of Godfather 1, where you see the guy talking about how his daughter, got beaten and raped, and he wants him to do something, and it pulls out of him right over Vito's shoulder and stuff. And so I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I thought that was kind of a cool way to reopen it and everything like that, to just show, I like the parallels between Vito and Michael, because it's such an interesting connection that they had, because Michael was more or less like Vito than any of them. And so, yeah, I really liked that about it. But I always really liked the assassination in the board with the heads of the 5 families, when everybody just gets fucking taken out, and somehow or another, Vincent and Michael make it out alive. Like, you don't even.
That feels like a straight up 90s action movie, that scene.
Oh, completely. I mean, there's so many parts where you're like, physically, there's no way that bullet from outside is coming over this way here, getting this guy in the corner, but they're getting completely missed every single time.
Well, this is the dude. He's like, I got my coat. Forget about your coat. It's my lucky coat. Then he gets shot. It's just, yeah, man. Oh, that was a great scene.
Vincent picks up a guy's body to avoid getting shot himself. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, totally. Total Recalls the escalator scene. Total Recall. That dude, just that poor guy in Total Recall. Sorry.
I would also say is a little bit of the orchestration with Connie at the end at the opera. In terms of like taking out all of these different people and whatnot, even to the point with the old man who doesn't trust her with the
cannoli,
and she shows him, oh yeah, the cannoli is fine, and then proceeds to basically get poisoned and die in the balcony.
When I was a kid and I watched that, I didn't get it. Like, I didn't get what was going on with this cannoli, that it was actually poisoned. And I remember watching going, that was a bullshit bite she just took. Like, what kind of bite was that? Because he asked her to try it, and she's just like, and you barely see it. And I'm like, that's a bullshit bite, man. Like, I'd be chomping into that thing.
It's in the pastry part. She didn't put it in the cream. It's in the pastry part is the poison. She's a smart lady, that Connie.
Yep.
The name of the guy in the white hat, just so it's not stuck on all of our minds all day, as I know it tends to be. Finucci is the guy in the white hat. So
I kept thinking Meucci, but that's the dude that Joey Zazza keeps talking about invented the telephone. We'll got Meucci.
We'll just call him Fettuccine.
God,
let's. Yeah, don't be mean to Italians, Brian. They make incredible food.
Man, I just called them Guidos a couple of minutes ago. Now you're going to bring that in? Oh,
all right, let's kind of wrap this thing up. I guess I can throw out the double feature question. I don't know what I would pair with The Godfather Part 3. That's a tough one. I don't even know what to throw.
Well, there. Hey, since we'll just put Return of the Jedi on there, since you wanted to put Empire Strikes Back up against The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would do that. Whereas Empire Strikes Back is one of the greatest sequels of all time, as Godfather Part 2 is too. I don't know if I would put Return of the Jedi and Godfather 3 on the same level.
Isn't that the point?
You could put The Last Jedi in there. No. Godfather 3 is much better than that movie.
Or Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker, yeah, because it's got good things and it's got bad things. So, yeah, I can see Rise of Skywalker.
It's a sloppy movie. There we go. Both are sloppy movies.
If I was going to pair it with something, I don't know why, but this popped into my head, but The Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know why, but I think that they would pair good together.
I'm going to throw... I'll throw mine out. I would do Godfather Part 3, and I'd do Heat right after, just because I want a fun Pacino action movie right after this, because we get that helicopter scene that seems like an action movie scene right there. I'm like, all right, now I want a straight-up action movie right after this, and we get Pacino and De Niro finally on screen together with that one. I'll do Heat right after.
That makes me want to watch Heat again. I haven't watched that for such a long time. Heat is amazing.
I remember, I'm going to be a little real with the audience here. I remember when I was kind of first starting to get into marijuana, I watched Heat, and I never seen it, never heard anything about it, nothing. And all of a sudden, the DVD dropped in my lap somehow, and I popped it in, and that first scene when they take that armored car, I was just like, the hell is going on here? Jesus, this shit just got real quick. So yeah,
I had someone try to argue with me that Heat is not an action movie, and I'm like, have you ever watched Heat? Heat is totally an action movie.
When you said that you want a bear, balls out action movie, Heat is not the first thing that comes to my mind.
No.
It's more drama than I think it is action.
It's definitely in terms of the drama thriller kind of.
In terms of a Pacino action movie, I don't know what else I would throw up there has more action than Heat. Judging by the silence, I think it's Heat.
Man, Dog Day Afternoon might have.
But Dog Day
Afternoon was pretty nuts.
No, it's not like balls to the wall, straight up Schwarzenegger, Stallone action movie. Not at all.
I was gonna say Die Hard 2.
Yeah, it's an action movie.
Yeah, Robert Patrick wasn't in it as a terrorist. So.
All right, go. I guess if you haven't watched it, go. I would say you guys would recommend the Coda cuts if you were to.
I always have to recommend watching the original first. Watching the original first that's what I would do, because I'd watch it.
Let you get your baseline kind of thing.
Yeah, and then give it a couple months, then watch the Coda version, and it's, I don't know. To me, it was like when I watched Batman v Superman: The Ultimate Cut. It was just like, okay, I see that the scenes that you put into this movie, but I can see why you left them out. Yeah, we didn't need that. So, the Snyder Cut was redone. I'm talking just the Batman v Superman: The Ultimate Cut was just like they just threw in 4 or 5 other things in there that didn't really need to be in there, and you know why they cut them, because there was no exposition. It was just something there. So, Yeah, I'd say just watch the original Godfather 3 and then a couple months later dip into Coda and see what you think.
All right, let's kind of wrap this thing up here on this bonus episode. Godfather Part 3. I guess the final episode in our Francis Ford Coppola month here that we had going on for the month of, what was it, April? April. Yeah, it was April. It's the first day of May now, but you know what? It was an April series. You get a bonus month or bonus episode the first of this month. So
it's the second greatest trilogy of all time. So watch it.
After Austin Powers.
Back to the Future.
All right, Tony wins.
Back to the Future.
It's still Austin Powers.
Great, but it's not a trilogy anymore. Star Wars is great, but it's not a trilogy anymore. Back to the Future.
Yes, yes.
All right. So
I did end up finding that track you were talking about. I just didn't get all the way down to the bottom of the vinyl, the One Pine Mall.
Oh yeah, Lone Pine Mall.
Yeah. Let's throw out the question out there to everybody. Greatest trilogy of all time, since we just finished the Godfather trilogy. Drop that in the comments. I want to hear some arguments going on here. What's the greatest trilogy of all time? Am I a complete idiot for saying Austin Powers? Yes, I am. Yeah. So please let me know why I'm wrong and what is the greatest trilogy of all time. Tony, you want to throw out some Silver Screen Showdown? I know you just did a Marijuana 420 episode.
Yeah, we did, man. We totally did. And it's the second all stoner movies edition we did. And this one was kind of special to me because like my best friend since like sperm was in it with me. And I've never had him on any of my media or anything, and it just makes me realize that I think I've been doing this all wrong, and I think him and I just need to be partners because him and I bounce off each other so well. So yeah, Silver Screen Showdown on YouTube, check it out, and the all stoner 420 edition with Mike Acklin, Sheldon Starr, and Adam Godel and myself, and but yeah. That's what's going down, and I'm getting ready to do Back to the Future 4 once the leaves start blooming.
Awesome. Tony, we'll get you back on sometime. I think eventually Brian will finally pester me into doing Back to the Future, and we have our guest already. We have not done it yet, so I will.
Have you seen Back to the Future?
Yes, I have seen all three Back to the Futures. Yeah. Don't worry, that's the trilogy I have seen. I have seen that one. We're good.
I was about ready to
Tony was about ready to jump through the screen.
Like, all right, I'm out.
The Godfather's one thing, but Back to the Future? Come on. No, I've seen it. It is a great trilogy. I'm not going to disargue anyone.
I only own two versions of it. That's all.
So, yeah, go check it out. Silver Screen Showdown, YouTube, the same place you're watching this, or if you are listening to this, we are all, our show is on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, all those fun places. Social media, Brian, where is the social medias?
Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Backlot 605. Also on Facebook, we got the South Dakota Film Community Group. Come check us out. Join the conversation. We just like to post and to talk about things that are fun and movie related.
Absolutely.
Tony Tubes Zerr on Twitter.
Go check him out. We'll drop your link in the description here for Tony's Twitter and Silver Screen Showdown on there.
But yeah, the South Dakota Movie Community, whatever it's called, that's a really fun group. I used to be with the Screen Junkies, with the Screen Junkies fans. Those guys all just kind of suck, and so I really kind of like the little community that you guys have there. It's fun.
I love your description of the Oscars. It made me smile that morning.
What?
When you just shit on the Oscars, I loved your comment about that.
Oh, I don't remember that.
he's like the marijuana was real.
It was.
All right, this has been the Backlot 605 podcast. Once again, thank you, Tony Tubes, for being on the show. For Brian Mensing, I'm Casey Kelderman. We will check y'all out next time on the Backlot of South Dakota.